it's not selling enough, then it starts to lay off. Its costs are running too much. We having fun with what that is anyway.
And it's 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock. We ready for the next reveal?
Oh shit!
What happened about your weight? You came back to
216. 216 today. 2 pounds up.
Still fighting the good fight though.
Yep. Well, except for the beer today. So
we have Sandy in for this, maybe.
Sandy needs to be in for this. Yeah, I just texted her. She
Patches.
Patches, mouse pads.
Well, that gave it away.
Oh.
It's the 1 o'clock reveal for the.
It's a 1 o'clock reveal for the patches that I don't have right now.
Well, you can tell them
But
about
we're
it.
going to show it on the vid. We're going to show that you can talk to people. Mike, you want to bring it up?
I can bring it up.
There they come on the screen.
Let's do a picture of it.
Show it.
I do.
What do you want to start with first, Sandy?
The physical patches are supposed to come to me today, but show the mouse pads then.
Show the mouse pads. And are they up, Mike?
Any minute now.
And technology.
All right, there we go.
I didn't see diddly squat.
Well, no,
You're not going to see it on the Skype channel.
We're looking at the.
There's a pad.
How come on this side I can't?
Going too fast, Morland. Oh, is it already on a loop?
Let me check my FedEx tracking.
Yeah, so we are going to be selling more physical goods. We heard you guys. You want more stuff?
There we go.
Yay!
So Sandy has put
we got a
together,
commercial.
Sandy's put together some pretty cool items for our first kind of official physical good release. We've got 2 metal mouse pads, one featuring the Bengal carrier art, and the other featuring the Star Citizen logo.
Hold on a second, we've got Jay-Z first.
And then my favorite is these cloth patches, which we've done the 4.
There, the mouse. Can you hold the mouse pads over there?
Oh, nice. Oh, those cloth patches are awesome.
Yep, we've got cloth patches of all 4 of the UEE Armed Services, Navy, Marines, Army, and Advocacy, and the UEE logo. I think Sandy's getting the samples in the mail today, and they're pretty cool.
Nice. Well, I mean, that's really cool because, like, obviously in the Army, we all have patches for the different units we are in. So it'll be cool to kind of see that you guys have your own little things. Is it like sew on, or is it like iron on, or?
So I guess sew on patches.
Nice.
Is that right, Sandy?
Yes, they're sew on. I don't know why you're showing the sewing kit. You don't need to be showing that. Yes, they're sew on. I don't know why you're showing the sewing kit.
Sorry, I'm meant to be retarded.
That one's not for sale.
I should have done
I'm
that.
meant to be retarded.
And so those are available for sale on the website today.
Nice.
Possibly now if you can get through.
Oh, God.
The great coordination on those pictures.
Except the blue one. What do you mean the blue
The
one?
blue one's not for sale.
Which one's that? Oh, the UEE.
UEE.
Okay, right.
So where did everyone disappear off to? Did everyone like get afraid of the the
I think
food?
pizza did them away. The worrisome thing is that Legante and Shadow took their weapons with them, so.
They're gonna go steal the pizza.
Yeah.
Look at that, they're going to duel it
Okay,
out.
so what we got on our Twitch here. It looks like on one of the channels we got David. Is that David Prescott doing modeling up there? I think it is, perhaps.
What about
Which one's channel 6?
Wingman's Hangar is channel 6, or Wingman's Basement is channel 6.
No, not on.
Is he not on? Let's see. No, it's not. It's not broadcasting. Basically, right now we have Rob talking on a headset. We got some 3D modeling stuff happening in channel 2. So, and I can see an inset there. So I'm assuming that could potentially be David Prescott doing some of his modeling of the deluxe hangar. And then there's us sitting in the conference rooms.
It's a hard life sitting in an air-conditioned conference room. It's a hard life. No, but thank you for having me here. Like, this is awesome.
We don't have any air here.
And I didn't expect it to happen, so thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for stopping by. It's pretty awesome that everyone would make the effort to come up and hang out. It's very cool.
Really the least we can do after, I mean, fans are making this game, so.
True. Well, I mean, but you guys are making it so awesome that like we're just basically throwing money at you guys, like it's pelting you with change. No, it's gonna be awesome, man. Like I've been like I was a huge.
Well, the money goes to more spaceships and cooler environments. So.
Yeah, always more spaceships, non-stop.
Wings of Glory fan, huh?
Yeah. Huge. Back then, back in the day, I was like 6. And it was the first game other than this horrible racing sim where you couldn't survive. Anyway, and it had this awesome damage model that hasn't been, you know, how real it was. Like, you could tear your wings off, and it was so real, and they haven't had a game like that. Like, it's always been life bars, like Ace Combat. So, like, I get the feeling this is going to be a lot like that, like where you have components.
For everybody who doesn't know, which is, I think, probably pretty much everyone in the world, Wings of Glory was a World War I game made at Origin, built on Chris Roberts' the engine he made for Strike Commander.
Wait, you guys made that?
Yep, that was it.
Mind blown. I'm with the guys. Sorry.
We didn't all. It was actually it was Warren. It was one of the projects Warren did at Origin. It was based on the Strike Commander engine. I can't remember if Rob was on. Rob was on Pacific Strike, I think. Was he on Wings of Glory? I can't remember.
No, he wasn't on WoW, I don't think.
Right. But yeah, so we basically did off the Strike Commander engine, Wings of Glory, Pacific Strike, Wing 3, Wing 4. What else do we? Ben, you're the keeper of all the Origin things. I can't remember because I'm getting too old.
Oh, you think of the engine? It was also for Armada.
Armada, right? And I think that's it, right? Is that? I mean, I guess it was kind of it was Prophecy was a new 3D engine, if I remember.
Yeah, they call it the Vision engine. It was a ground up 3D engine for Prophecy.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, so I've just been looking forward to like a game that had some realistic damage models, realistic, you know, dogfighting action, and the closest that I got to was that IL-2 Sturmkopf game and now War Thunder. Mm-hmm. But now you guys are coming out with this game, and it's just like gonna destroy everything. I hope. I mean, it sure seems like it will. So
we're working hard to try and make that reality. It won't be for lack of trying. So no, we're gonna. I think it's gonna be really good. I have like whenever I make games, I kind of have a sense of like whether things. I just always generally have a sense of whether like a mechanic will work or won't work, and I sort of on what we're doing on this one, I feel it feels to me as good as Wing Commander did when I first did it. So which is pretty. I haven't sort of recreated that for quite a while. So not that the other games I did were bad, but it just sort of feels like all these things kind of will work and they'll work really well, and it'll be a different play experience than what a lot of things you can play out there now. So it'll feel very specific and distinct, and I'm hoping really immersive. So we'll see. So I'm building it because it's what I want to play. So.
And then you guys don't have EA or Ubisoft or all those crazy people, or not that they're bad.
Not that they're bad. They're just big corporations, and big corporations have different agendas. And
but you guys have your own little directions. They can't control you. It's awesome.
Yeah. So no, it's great to be able to do it without having the extra noise that comes with working with a big company, because you can just concentrate on the game and not worry about other things. So it just means that we can achieve more with less, and we're not quite as inefficient because you can make decisions quicker. So everyone can see it, like when something happens and we decide we're going to change course, we like literally can change course like in a day, 24 hours. We say, okay, well, we said this, but we don't think maybe that's right, so we're going to say that. If I was doing that at EA, that would take months to get through everyone to say, sign it off, make sure that you could change the course. So that allows us to be much more responsive and more efficient. So it's, I think, it'll make a better game.
Of course, we still have to answer to the fans when we do that. Yeah, right. They notice every little change.
Well, it's so cool because you guys have like this open forum going on where everyone's coming up with different game ideas. And I know that obviously you guys have your own ideas and plans, but you guys ever like get in there and kind of get a little bit of ideas from the craziness that's developing in those places?
No, we pay attention to everything. We read all the comments, we read all the forum posts. And if there's a good idea, then we're I think it fits in, we're happy to add it in. It's actually really good, because when you're building something this big and this complicated, there's a lot that you can't really just flesh out, even if you have like a 100-person team. You just don't have enough brain power to sort of go through all the different iterations. And so having 100, 150,000 people out there, I mean, not everyone's active on the forums, not everyone's commenting, but it's still a very large amount of people. Essentially, people run every idea down to the nth degree, and it's already sort of testing before you actually put it in the game. So it works out well. And if people have a suggestion that's a better way of doing it than we were saying, then yeah, absolutely. Why not? I mean, and it's nice to do it so early because if you do it before you've built all the systems, it's much easier to change course. Like if you were doing this and you built it all and then you're in beta and people are giving you feedback that needs to be a different way, that's a much harder change to make than now when we're still building the systems.
Awesome. Well, I guess I had like one real big question, or not question, but like something more like a compliment or awesomeness. Like you guys are talking about the Hangar module all the time and how it's going to be like a home away from home to an extent where you keep all your ships. Obviously, it's a hangar. But when we were deployed in Afghanistan, I can really relate to that idea because I mean, obviously we had our planes, all in a hangar, and over time we kind of adapted the hangar to suit our lifestyles. Like we had all of our gym equipment and like all of our stupid video games and stuff. They're not stupid, but it's like our
definitely not stupid.
The chain of command, and it became like our own little chill pad. So I think it's really cool that you guys are talking about it kind of like that.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the idea because everyone has like a base they can start, and then we'll let you, as you go in the game and you earn some more money, you can maybe upgrade it, make it fancier, and then eventually, like even maybe buy, I don't know, a penthouse apartment somewhere. And I was kind of thinking that would be also fun that like as you go around achieve things and go to different planets, you can buy trinkets on the planets with the money you're earning or whatever. So you've got mementos of where you were in the galaxy.
Oh, nice!
And you can have that in your hangar or in your personal space in your ship or whatever.
How do you think about deciding where this hangar is going to be placed?
Well, basically the hangars are going to be placed on the starting home worlds, and we're going to have several. We're going to have options for people, so not everyone starts with the same system. You pick it, and then after that, you'll be able to sort of buy or rent hangar space on other planets as you go through the game. So the kind of idea is, they're like, think of a hangar like a house in a traditional RPG game, where it's where you would store, like if you have a whole bunch of different equipment that you'll switch out on a ship, so you'll be able to have, say, a Hornet, for instance, and you can have, say, 3 different setups that you've built a profile for. Like, here's my dogfighting one, here's my courier one, or whatever. And you can go into your hangar and you can say, okay, switch out for this equipment setup, and it'll let you do that. And so basically the hangar is a good place to store a lot of all your spare vehicle items. And if you happen to be operating on another, your home base is on this side of the galaxy, but you're now doing a bunch of stuff on the other side of the galaxy, that will be a reason to, rent or buy hangar space there for a while, so you could store stuff, so you don't have to go all the way back to your base hangar.
But the original implementation of the hangar is going to be limited to what, 5 locations, 10 locations, or what?
I don't think we've decided yet. It's basically going to be what's the best distribution for players around. I mean, you're not going to be randomly located on 100 different star systems. It'll be sort of the player starting points, but that's more going to be determined by how many people we have. So we don't have, because you don't want to have 100,000 people start on the same planet. You'll have some issues there. So we haven't made that decision. So I couldn't tell you whether it's 5 or 10 or 20 starting bases spread about. But it'll also be based on kind of your preferences. So you'll sort of have when you play Squadron 42, you'll have an option of where you want to muster out, and that's kind of where your starting base will be. And if you don't go into Squadron 42, you'll be able to pick kind of your starting place based on preferences. So I guess if you want to be more a pirate, you would probably have a starting planet that's more on the sort of outer edges of the UEE space. That's a little more, maybe in the boundary between Banu and UEE space.
Now, if you place this hangar in a not so strategic place, you're allowed to move it, correct?
Well, your base hangar is going to stay where it is, but you can always get a new hangar somewhere else if you want. You just have to earn enough credits to be able to buy or rent a new hangar.
Okay.
I guess one other thing I had about the hangar thing was, when we're deployed and all that jazz, and I'm just waiting for G-men to come in and grab me out, for saying crazy secrets that aren't secret. But when we were deployed, like you could really get a feel for what was happening with the missions based on what planes were still there, what tail numbers were still around. And I was curious, like, obviously we're gonna have our hangar with our ships, but if you have like a squadron or something, will it be possible to have like a squadron hangar where you can have your wingmen, for instance, have slots in it, so you can kind of see who's out and who's flying, or who's missing a wing on their aircraft, or kind of.
Well, we're definitely, we are building like a guild level hangar that you'll be able to get. That's not something you get for free, but together they'll be able to buy one that you can have as a base, and you should be able to sort of see that. And there's another stretch goal that's kind of an interesting one that we'll announce down the road here. That
okay.
Well, another option for people to
make everyone jump the gun on the schedule.
It's all right.
Well, awesome. No, that's all really cool information. So thanks.
You're welcome.
I was wondering about the hangars because one of the questions I had was I do tend to hoard things in the game.
So your base hangar just expands for whatever ships you have. So if you even had 100 ships, it would still take care of that. The other ones that you actually have to go rent or buy, you have to pay for your space. So the kind of idea is you'd probably have one place where you would sort of hoard your stuff, and then there'd be other places that you would sort of, if you're doing like work for people, whatever, you could like distribute.
Yeah.
You can also be able to, you'll also be able to hire NPCs or other players to fly in some of your ships. So you could have a Constellation and 2 Hornets, and you could have 2 AI wingmen to be on your wing and fly, and that in the ships you configured and stuff.
Yeah, when I get to Avenger, that should be 10.
Right. Well, I think we're okay. I think our first rev of the hangar, I'm not sure if we're going to have all our LOD stuff in, so I think we got to 45 ships before we crashed the application.
Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll probably have the LOD in by the first level of the hangar, but each one of the ships are all at the highest level of detail, so they're all about 300, even the fighters are about 300,000 faces. The Constellation, the highest level of detail is about 1.3 million polys, so if you had 10 or 20 Constellations, it's pretty brutal.
But at least the 300i in the Avenger is read back up to 59.
I actually don't know.
I know he was giving away some.
He's out there. He's giving away quite. He seems to be quite generous on the forums. So.
Yeah, we actually now on the new site we can actually track that better. Before we would have to do a manual query of the database, but now we can kind of sort of easily see who's got the ships or what they've got.
Do we have tallies now of how many of each ship have been sold?
Well, no, we definitely have that. I guess we could probably pull up. I mean, Ben, we may want to get John to pull, because I think we can do that. Just pull like the top 5 best-selling ships. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Let me go grab John, and we can.
I think
I'll go see if he can
do
pull
that
it up.
live on the new site.
So, like, if obviously all these ships, like the 300i promo video, which just blew everyone's freaking minds.
Yeah, you guys are going to like the director's cut that will be later on in this live stream. It's pretty awesome. Twice as long, twice as many shots, a lot extra detail that you didn't see in the first commercial.
But if all the ships are that awesome and good looking, I am curious, how would scaling go with graphics when you have something like 200 people trying to take down a Bengal carrier or something?
First of all, there's no. We don't quite know how many people can be in one instance yet. That's part of the reason why we're doing the dogfighting module is to stress test it.
Oh yeah.
I doubt we'll be able to have 200 people. I think probably we'll have somewhere between 60 to 100 perhaps. Okay. It sort of depends. That's why we're stress testing. But the other thing is that there's going to be a lot of level of detail. So yes, when you're up close to the ship, like the 300i or any others, there are 300,000 faces and 80 to 100,000 for the characters. But that's only when you're close up. So as soon as they get further away, they start dropping down to lower fidelity models. So down to 1,000 to 2,000 faces off in the very distance. And of course, when you're in space, you can't really get 10 or 20 of these ships all in the same area right up close to the camera. It just physically is impossible. So level of detail actually works really well in this space game. It's an advantage that we have over, say, a first-person shooter down on the ground level, where you literally, if you're running around, say, in Crisis 3 there, they have to draw every blade of grass and all the environment. So we can actually push the actual individual ship models to a level that like you couldn't do in a typical first-person shooter, even like doing something like Battlefield 4 or 3 or whatever. For the same reason. So we're generally, I think, going to be okay as far as the rendering stuff, because we can always drop down to lower levels of detail if you haven't got as fast of a graphics card. The big issue is just going to be how many people can be in the same sphere when we've got the server and we're going back and forth transferring the data for high fidelity combat, because you need a certain amount of data flow, because we've got a pretty high fidelity simulation. So that's really going to be the gating factor, and that's why we're doing the dogfighting module in December, is really to stress test the back end and all that, and then also balance the ships. So get people to fly the ships and see, is one too powerful, one too weak, what strategies people use. Hopefully, get the community to help hone the combat over, day one is definitely not going to be polished. It's probably going to be painful. But, once we have several iterations of the dogfighting, I would say, once we've gone, say, 3 to 6 months into it, we'll have something I think that everyone will hopefully be pretty happy with, and it'll be a great foundation for the bigger game. And that's kind of the plan. That's why we want to get these modules out early, so we're iterating on them with everybody's feedback. Because in the old days, if you made a game, you basically put it in a box, and then what ended up happening was you would see the feedback after it was released, and then maybe you would fold in some of the feedback into the sequel, which was going to come out a couple of years later. So now we can sort of roll it around much more instant, which is actually really, really fun and exciting.
Nice.
So if the ships get far enough out, or if you put too many of them in one space, so they turn into like Wing Commander 2 era sprites?
No, we're never going to drop down to sprites. They probably will drop down to, I would say probably the smallest would be 2,000 or 3,000 faces. I mean, the interesting thing right now is that on modern GPUs, whether you're drawing 100 faces, 10 faces, or about 2,000 or 3,000, it's irrelevant. It's not, that actually doesn't really make much performance difference, because the amount of setup you do, setting it up on the graphics card to be drawn as an element is as much time as drawing 10 faces of 3,000 or 4,000. So probably the lowest level of detail will be a couple of thousand faces, and then it scales all the way up to the beautiful stuff that when you're actually looking at it close, we can appreciate it, where it's hundreds of thousands or millions of faces depending on the size of the ship. But yeah, won't be a sprite.
And as far as the dogfighting alpha goes, you mentioned playing games over in Afghanistan. I'm actually going overseas soon here. I get the feeling it's going to be multiplayer only. Is that correct?
No. So the dogfighting module will have AI as well. So it's not just going to be online. So you'll be able to dogfight against AI, and you'll be able to dogfight against other players.
So we can't be completely disconnected offline? Dogfighting alpha?
I mean, based on experience, man, you're not going to want to be gaming hardcore on anything online in Afghanabad. Afghanabad is not an internet place of fun. It is an internet place of grind your face into the ground.
True story.
Yeah, no, I'd have to. There shouldn't be any particular reason that you would need it to be on the client, but on the server. But I would hate to promise it right now, because I don't know what our. Ultimately, yes. So ultimately, you'll be able to play offline, play single player offline. You'll be able to sort of get into sort of an arena combat with AI offline. But I would hate to make the promise for the first round of the dogfighting without making sure on the technical side that we may have just done it for the multiplayer implementation, and then the offline versions a few months later. I don't know, because it's not going to be a full featured. The dogfighting is literally just to be stress testing a bunch of the features. So I don't want to make any promises on that. But ultimately, yes, that'll be fine. I don't know if it's going to be fine for right away.
I'm happy just to do barrel rolls by myself.
Right.
Just learn to fly. Yeah. That's one thing I want to do, is just try to fly each different one and see which one would like at the time.
Yeah, well, that's what I kind of want. I really think it'll be fun. I mean, as long as everyone's up for it, because it's definitely going to not be. It's not going to be a polished like a game you would buy in a box when we first did the dogfighting, because it's just dogfighting, and it's going to be early, and it'll be missing a bunch of stuff. but I'm really interested because I kind of want to see people use different features, what the feedback is, what ships, this whole idea of rock, paper, scissors, all these different loadouts you can do. I really want to sort of see how that works and matches up, and then we use that as feedback. And then, of course, we have the technical stress testing on the back end. But I really think it would be great to make the best game possible, to have the full community feedback and involvement in that. And as far as I can tell, I think the people who have signed up early are okay with that. Like normally you couldn't do that, like when you do a release that you went and bought on GameStop, because everyone would be like, oh, you gave me something buggy and it's unbalanced.
Yeah.
But I think everyone that's in this early is like, they're cool with that, and they actually like the idea that they're going to help make this game be the funnest, coolest space sim that they can be. I may have my style of play, but there's going to be hundreds of thousands of other styles of play, and so I really just want to make sure that we have a system that can sort of support all that, and then see what's fun. And so it's kind of cool. It's sort of like doing a science project on a big live stage. So don't get mad if it crashes, but having your participation, doing it early on the Dogfighting will be great. I'm actually really looking forward to that.
Well, that's one of the things that I saw even just recently with the Wasteland 2 they just put out, that just the feedback from the community on stuff from it, and they should get getting their data probably pretty soon.
That'd be good. I'm a backer of Wasteland too, so
because all he is a hand.
I think it's great. I mean, I really enjoy the process. So it's kind of feels like exciting and live all the time. It's good. I mean, I'm like I've said, I'm having the most fun building this that I did since we did it.
Yeah. What was it? All Gamer had asked me just about asking if this game is going to be heavily focused on the RPG element, or if it'll remain more FPS dogfighting side, more arcade like Counter-Strike, World of Tank, Mech Warrior sort of thing.
Well, I think it's going to have stuff for everything. So yes, if you want to be doing the dogfighting first-person stuff, there's going to be that and more than you've had in any of the other stuff, and there's a lot more going on than even something like the Mech Warrior Online, especially since it's a persistent universe. But there's a persistent universe, and there's all these different roles you can do. So if you want to really, I mean, there definitely can be players that don't even have to do combat if they don't want to do. So they could be based on a planet, hiring other people to do the trading runs, and they're just like pulling the strings in the background. And I think it's cool to support that. So I think it's kind of what you want to make it. I mean, it's not an RPG in that you have like character levels and learn skills, because that's about how you fly and how you do it. But really, your character is really how you customize your ship and how you set it up. So it's sort of a combination of that sort of your character building is basically your ship building, and then your how you fly, how you do it, things is sort of you that you bring to. So it's not like you have to get to level 10 before you can pull off a certain kind of maneuver in space. So I don't know. It's kind of a hybrid. It's not. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a role-playing game that people are used to computer-wise, because they're always used to levels. But it is kind of a role-playing game in terms of you get
You're the role.
Yeah, you decide what you want to be, and it's it's a purer version. I mean, I actually think that part of the problem with RPG games is that when D&D and everything happened, like you had to have this system of levels and dice and everything, because that's how you constrained it. But like on a computer, you don't need to have that. But we sort of simulating with old pen and paper techniques on a computer, whereas I think at some level, I don't know why in an RPG game I need to level up to be able to do stuff. I think it'd be cool if I got a weapon and I would fight and I learn a maneuver, someone shows me a maneuver and then I can do it, and it's not anything about me, like it would be in the real world, right? So like I actually do it as a person in the game. More often I'll get better at it. That's what would happen in the real world, and pull it off, versus I've now leveled up to strength 20 so I can now wield this big sword.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I like with playing the freelancer currently. If I wanted to make a bit of money, then I get my trading ship, go back and forth doing that. The only downside I didn't like for that was one ship at a time, from it. The other thing was that if I wanted to buy, it's like, oh, I'm not high enough level, can't get this gun, even though they're selling it right there.
Right.
So the aspect of, not really levels, but it's more of what you get, what you can afford.
Yeah, it's what you can afford, what you can get. And then there may be a couple of cases in some of the bigger ships we may require you to like get a license to fly a bigger
Like a
ship.
class 3, you know, for a
Yeah,
commercial
yeah.
type.
For like flying like the Starfarer.
Starfarer.
Or something, you know. But that would be like the real world again. Like